Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Halifax Raiders Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 24. So in last episode, we had the offseason, and obviously our team is still pretty much the exact same team on paper because we kind of tried to maintain our roster as much as possible, considering the fact we lost Mauricio Wilm to retirement. So we're up here at the start of another season, the 2044-45 season. I think we might have like 2 to 3, maybe 4 seasons left of this franchise mode before it comes to an end, which is kind of crazy. But this is going to be an interesting season because obviously the fact that we lost Mauricio, I don't know how good this team's going to do simulation-wise because obviously that's a big chunk of goal scoring that is going to be gone. But you can see this is what our team is going to be looking like going into the season. It is not the strongest team on paper, but we do have okay depth, I would say. Lehman has dropped down to an 83, and he can still drop off throughout the course of the season. Same with Ahinen, so that's a little bit risky because if those guys drop off, that makes us much worse. But we do at least have a decent top line with Del Rivera, Boucher, and Ozens. It's going to be interesting to see how that line does, considering obviously now Lehman isn't even a top liner. Ahinen has never been really a top liner too much, and then Wilm is long retired at this point in time, I guess. But we do have some good future pieces, at least, that I'd say would definitely help in terms of building this team up if this team is to go longer than the 25 years, because you can see Jacobson, who's 22, and you got Colburn, who's 20. Also, you got like Manny Booz, who's 23. You got Coop, who's 25. So you have a little bit of a core together, which is good. But obviously the age is catching up to a lot of these guys. Also, Ozens and Boucher would be the front center of a next generation of this team, I guess you could say. But in general, I'm excited to see what happens with this team this season, but I'm also kind of nervous that we might miss the playoffs. But I think we do have a good chance at making the playoffs just because of the fact that our goaltending is really good. I think that will make up for the lack of defense and maybe depth that we have on our offensive side of things. So Zadorov and Burkov, both of them are pending free agents. Zadorov at least is an RFA. Meanwhile, Burkov is a pending UFA, so there is a chance that this might be Burkov's last season with the team, which is kind of unfortunate because he's been a very good goaltender at times, but Zadorov is that next generation goaltender really for this team. So going to be interesting to see what this team's able to do this season, if they're able to make it back to the playoffs, and if they do, how long are they going to make it to the playoffs for? But anyways, before we get into simulating, let's see what you guys have to say about last episode. And then, yeah, we'll start simulating the season. We'll probably take it a little bit slower this year just because, obviously, without Mauricio, who knows if this team's going to perform good out of the gate. So we want to kind of make sure that we're a team that's actually winning games and not losing too much in a row. But the first comment is from Michael Dose, who says, Mauricio named ambassador to Halifax by GM according to Chronicle Herald, or to the Chronicle Herald. Yeah, I was basically saying in last episode, technically, if we wanted to kind of make like a kind of an interesting little story, we could say that after my 25 years, Mauricio Wilm took over as the general manager for the Halifax Raiders, and I don't know what the heck happened after that, but we could just basically say that he took over for my role. The next comment is from Logan May, who says, don't give up on scouting. Looks like you have 5 or 6 years left. Sign no scouts. And I think it's less years. If I remember right, I think we have till 47, 48. So we might have 3 to 4 seasons left of this, if I'm not mistaken, which is kind of unfortunate because that's not really a lot of time to develop players in. So I'm hoping that at least in these drafts we could find guys that are like 1 year out or 2 years out. If we have to draft a guy that's 3 years out, there's a chance that we'll never get to see them play in the NHL, but maybe in the AHL, you never know. And then the last and final comment is from Sanro Otaku, who says, I don't see this team having a super good record, but you'll probably be a wild card at worst. Who knows, maybe that will make you the cheese team. Of course, it would really suck if you did in fact win a cup after Wilm had retired. And yeah, that's what I'm kind of leaning towards, is it would kind of suck if we won a cup after Wilm retired by this one season. So I obviously want to win a Stanley Cup, but it's still going to be kind of weird if we win it without Mauricio, of course. Considering we don't actually have a captain on the team, because everybody that is a captain is an alternate, just because I didn't really want to name a captain right after Mauricio retired like that. So anyways, should be interesting to see what this team does. We could potentially be the cheese team like Sanro Otaku was mentioning. It would be nice to be the cheese team because maybe that gives us a better chance at being a good team in the playoffs, but you never really know what happens with the simulation. You could win a President's Trophy and be out in the first round. You could be a cheese team that also goes out in the first round, or a cheese team that somehow goes on to win the Stanley Cup. So Anyways, I think we are good and ready to go. I did want to take a look if there's any other former players in free agency to start this season. I could bring in some of them if I wanted, but I don't think any of them are going to strengthen our team that much more. Like if we look, let's start on defense. I think I saw Fragapane was there, but I don't think I need Fragapane to be honest. Oh, and Turnbull is there too again. So Turnbull, who we'd let go of, is back there again. Do I want to bring back guys like Turnbull? I don't think we need them, but it would be good to have that depth in case there's injuries. Like, who's our depth defenseman at the moment? Because I think we have one depth defenseman. It is Cracknell. Okay, so Cracknell is pretty much the same type of thing as those guys. AHL-wise, we don't really have any 77s other than Mangone. I could always sign one of them just in case, so I think I might do that. I think I'm going to sign Turnbull again just to give us one more depth defenseman in case, because if we get into injury troubles, we won't have really much good players to bring in. So let's go into defense here, and we're going to give Turnbull a contract for 1 year just to give us a little tiny bit more depth on the defensive side of things. So we'll give Turnbull that 1 year deal. He wants a 2-way deal anyways, so that's good for me. We'll do that. Let's take a look and see if there's any other former players here that maybe could just give us a bit more depth if we get into injury troubles or somebody's relatively underperforming. I don't think there's going to be much on the forward side of things because we didn't see any in the actual free agent pool. But we'll double check just to make sure. But it's going to be an interesting season to see what this team could do. Like, I feel like Del Rovere is probably going to be the guy that leads us in points. Like, that top line should do hypothetically well, but it's probably not going to do as good as it was when we had Mauricio up there, because obviously Mauricio was a big chunk of our goal scoring, and to have that being gone, it should hurt us a little bit offensively. If it doesn't, I would be kind of surprised on that front. Yeah, I don't really see any former players here. I might have skipped over a couple guys maybe, but I don't think I did, so... that is that. Let's start simulating the season, and we'll let Turnbull just be a scratch in the AHL basically for now, and then if we need to call him up because of injury, we will call him up. 2 second-round picks. Wow, a trade just before the season starts to Detroit for some guy named Hebert. Yeah, it's Hebert probably because of Guy Hebert, the former goaltender for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Also, just bringing up again, if you guys want to go vote on the straw poll, make sure you go do so before, whenever you have the time, at least to see who we should do for our throwback franchise mode that's going to be replacing the series once it ends. Just in case you haven't seen yet, I put it on the community tab. I've also put it in the description of the last episode and probably this episode as well. So go check that out. 5-2-1 in the preseason is pretty damn good. I like to see that. Hopefully that transitions over nicely to the regular season. Lehman had 12 points in 8 games. So who knows, maybe Lehman's actually going to have a really good season on that second line. It would be nice to see Lehman have a good year to end off his career potentially. So I think we are ready to go. Let me just take a look in a second because I know Ian hasn't commented yet, but I know he would want to see some of the new faces, which I don't think there is any new faces. Let me just double check on that front though. I don't think there's any new faces on this team, so we're not even going to look because obviously I think this roster is pretty much mostly the same as last year. We also did actually sign one more forward in the AHL, and that was Haken. You guys would have saw that in the last episode just to give us more depth if we get into injury troubles or somebody on that fourth line's not performing. So let's continue over to the actual regular season. We'll probably take it like 1 month at a time just to play it safe, that our team is actually winning games and whatnot, because obviously if we fall off a cliff, we can miss the playoffs, or if we do really good, we'll obviously keep simulating. But let's go to the 1st of November, see how we do in our first month of action without Mauricio. Hopefully we can get some wins under our belt here early on in the season. Off to a little bit of a weird start here, as Cardwell's already been injured. That's already not great, so that's why I signed ourselves another depth defenseman, because you never know. You just never know when those injuries are going to happen on the blue line. We're still winning games, though, which is good. So Cardwell is back. Hopefully he stays healthy, because last year he actually had some injury problems as well. So we want to kind of stay as healthy as possible, especially on that blue line. And Cardwell's our best defenseman still, too. So 5-3-1 in the first month. Not bad. Not bad. It's not the best stat, obviously, because obviously way before this we were doing a lot better in our first month. Like we dominate our first month, but we're in that stage now where obviously we're going to be dropping off a lot. So it kind of makes sense for us to be kind of more a 500 team because we're currently in a wild card spot. So let's go another month because this is our first full month, and we'll see obviously where we're sitting at that point. But we might have to make some adjustments. We might not have to. But our goaltending should hopefully give us a better chance at winning games, because I don't think I've ever had like a goaltending combination that's that good overall wise. Damn, we're on a losing streak here, and then we won against San Jose. 10-8-1. I don't like how we're really similating so far to start this season, which is not great. We are losing a little bit more games than I'd like, but at least we are still winning games too. 13-9-1, which isn't the best, but we are still in a wild card spot. Okay. Let me take a look and just see who's currently leading us in points. Raymond, of all people, that's a little bit surprising. 23 points in 23 games. What do I want to do here? Maybe to change things up a bit, because it has been a little bit of a weird start, I'd say, to the season. I don't think there's really much I can do. Unless I was to move somebody down, but I don't think I can really. Trying to think if there's anything we could do to kind of rework this a little bit here. Don't know if I want that. Maybe I can do that, even though that makes it a little bit worse. Yeah, I don't even know what the problem is really on the team right now, so I'll just continue simulating. At this point, there's not. I don't really want to look at player stats yet. Let's just do one more month, and then we'll see. We'll diagnose some plus-minus issues on the team, if there is any, and hopefully that could help readjust things a little bit. But who knows? Maybe we'll have a dominant month in December. So let's go to January the 1st and see if we could get back in our winning ways and kind of make ourselves well above 500. That I actually feel safe, because obviously we've lost a lot of games in regulation up to this point. That's an AHL injury. Looks like we're off to a good start this month, though, which is nice. Obviously, now we've lost 2 in a row after I said that. Always seems to happen that way, huh? So one defender is back, which means Turnbull is out. And we'll get Humphreys back in. There we go. Game against Arizona, nice win there. Yeah, we're having some pretty solid defensive games, and then obviously that 7-6 shootout win's not really a good defensive game, but it's a win. So... And yeah, that was a much better month. We are 24-12-1 now, which has us 3rd place in the division. So that's a much better month. We are still not too far out of being a wild card team, though, which is interesting, because you can see that there is teams just outside the playoffs on 42 points near the bottom of the division. So our division is very strong this year, as it always has been. Yeah, because the Canadians are at 42 points, and the best team, actually the team that's outside of the playoffs in the Metro is on 43, but everybody else is in the 30-point range. So yeah, this is a very strong division again. So hopefully we don't fall off randomly in a month, but I think we're doing good up to this point that I don't know if I need to make any adjustments. Looks like we're under point per game on a lot of players, which is interesting, so our offense probably has fallen off. But I think I'm okay with that falling off, because if we're a stronger defensive team, maybe that gives us a better chance. And we'll find that offense in the playoffs or something like that. We are still technically tied with the Tampa Bay Lightning for 2nd place, but they have a game in hand, so that's why they're in 2nd and we're in 3rd. Let's go another half month and just see if we're still winning games at that point. Because like I said, if we fall off too much, we are going to fall outside of that wild card spot. So let's go to the 16th, see if we're doing good to start 2045. Shootout, loss, win, win. What about this? Loss, win, win, and win. I like a lot of our defensive games, though, a lot, because I think we're going to be one of the better defensive teams in the league based on the stats so far. 29-13-2. We are currently 2nd best in the Atlantic now. We're starting to make some ground up on a lot of teams, which is good. Let's go to the end of this month. But I think this team is doing relatively well, all things considered. We might have changed our identity, though, from being more of a hybrid production team, like a good defense, good offensive team, to just a good defensive team now. So we had a 10-3 win, though, against Seattle, so I guess we can score goals, too. 33-13-3, a lot of threes involved in that one. We are 1st place in the Atlantic Division now. I am really kind of surprised that we're still able to get that far in the standings. And yeah, Charles Raymond is still doing really well. Is he a pending free agent? Because that would explain why he's playing this well. No. He is not a pending free agent. Okay, good. Because if he was a pending free agent, I would be kind of concerned that he'd want to get paid this offseason. But I think he has another year left at least of his contract. So it's good to see Raymond doing well. Because honestly, he's kind of one of those kind of tweener players that I didn't really expect to actually do this well in his career. But he's been relatively consistent in his play. Let's go to the 19th. See if we can continue winning some games. We do lose 2 games to start the month, but we do beat the Canucks and the Canadiens and the Sabres. And then we lose to Chicago, beat Columbus, beat St. Louis, and lose to Tampa. 38-17-3. We are now tied for first in our division with the Panthers. Oh my goodness, it's still a very tight race, though, because we are only 7 points up on the Maple Leafs, who are outside of the playoffs. And technically, if the Maple Leafs were in the Metropolitan Division, they'd be tied for the lead. So, that's actually kind of nuts. Technically, 6th place is as good as 1st place in the Metro. Wow, okay. I kind of wish we were in the Metropolitan Division at this point in time, because I think it would be a much easier time for our team than this Atlantic Division, because this Atlantic Division has always just been very contested, with like the Montreal Canadiens and Tampa Bay Lightning, Florida Panthers, that type of thing. So we did have a 3-game losing streak, but then we ended it with a 5-1 win over the Oilers, which is good. Oh my goodness. We're only 1 point above that wildcard spot now. That's a bit scary, at least for us. Still, the Leafs are falling off a little bit, but they are only 5 points back of us, so we need to not go on those 3-game losing streaks if possible, because or else that could hurt us a little bit. So let's go to a day after the trade deadline. And hopefully we win this game on the trade deadline, because that would be nice, because we do want to make the playoffs this year, obviously. So, any big blockbuster trades on the deadline this season? No, and we do lose another game 2-1. We're kind of falling off here a little bit. I might have to make some adjustments. Yeah, did we fall out of the playoffs? No, we fell down to a wild card positioning, so we're going to make some adjustments here to try and get our team back to winning games again. I don't know what I want to do, though, because I don't want to wreck that top line or that second line too much. I don't think there's really much I can do offensively. Let me take a look at the defensive plus minus. Top 6 pairing's been good. All the pairings actually have been pretty good defensively this season. Let's just go back to the Booze and Cardwell pairing again. And we'll keep, obviously, with the goaltending being the same. Let's just keep going. I think we're obviously just having a little bit of a bad stretch, but I think we'll start to win games here shortly. I just hope that we don't randomly fall out of the playoffs like in game 82, because that would really suck. Let's go to the 16th here. See if we can get some more wins. There's another loss. Come on, guys. Don't lose multiple games in a row, or else I'm going to have to make some adjustments again. Okay, we're losing way too much. There's a win over Pittsburgh, though, as Booze has been injured. Let me go replace player, and there's another loss. I think we just fell out of the playoff spot. Yes, we did. Oh, man, that's not good. 3 points up is the Maple Leafs now. We are on a very badwards trajectory now. I don't know what all of a sudden just happened, but this team all of a sudden has not won games lately. So we are going to make some adjustments here. We're going to go with, I think, Lehman on the right side. Raymond has been great, but I am going to move him to the 3rd line just to maybe balance out the offense a little bit here. And from a defensive standpoint, I feel like we're getting cheesed completely right now, which is not great. Let's go something like that. And goaltending wise, obviously, we'll still stay the same. Oh boy. Trying to think if there's anything else I could do. Not really. I mean, there's guys that I could call up, like Winquist, but I could call up Haken to make us better defensively, but I don't want to send somebody down on waivers, because even Booze goes through waivers, I think, at this stage, right? Where does it say this damn waiver thing? Oh, yeah, right here, yeah. See? I think all these guys are not waiver exempt. I could, Colburn even goes through waivers, so I can't really send down anybody without the chance of them getting claimed. Yeah, even Sexsmith, yeah. There's nobody I would want to send down. I could call up Haken to make us better defensively, but like I said, I would have to send somebody down, and I don't want to risk somebody getting claimed. So I'm going to have to wait till the playoffs if we are to get there to get Haken up here and maybe make us better defensively. I don't know why this team has all of a sudden slid off a little bit. We need to win games. We can't go on a losing streak. So we need to win like 5+ games in a row, and then hopefully the Leafs fall off a lot. We do have a big game against them here on the 30th, which is not great. So let's do a week at a time, because obviously this is crucial stages to get us back into the playoffs. Another loss, a shootout win. Richter's been injured. Let me go replace player on that front. And another win there. Okay, so 2 out of 3. That's good. And we are still outside by only a point, so we are still hanging around. But this is going to come down maybe to the wire if we're going to be a playoff team or not. So we might end up being a cheese team if we just barely make it. Let's get Coop up there. Dodge will play 4th line center instead. Meanwhile, while we have that injury to Ricardo Richter. I didn't expect it to be this tough to get into the playoffs this season, in a sense. Like, this Atlantic Division just is really crazy. Like, if we were in the Metro right now, we would be technically 2nd place. But since we're in the Atlantic, it's not like that. Okay, we got 3 home games this week. Let's make good of those and win all 3 of them, please, boys. And Booze is back, which is huge. That should give us a better chance to play some good defensive hockey, at least, instead of having Cracknell in the lineup. So Booze will be back in. And let's see how we do in these 3 games. Come on, guys. Win there 2-0. Win there 7-3. Jerry Coop has now been injured, which is not great. Let's go replace player on that front. And an OT loss, which is still a point. We are still outside of the playoffs. We are technically tied for the wildcard spot, but we have 1 more game played. That's not great. It is literally going to come down to the wire. We have 8 games left in the season. We need to win as much of them as possible here. And Del Rivera's leading the team in points now. So Sexsmith is going to be having the force to play center. Can he play center? Not really. We don't really have a guy that can play this. Actually, we do have some that can. Let's get Colborne in as the 3rd line center. And Sexsmith will play the wing on the 4th line meanwhile. Yeah, that's good. We better make the playoffs here. Even if it's in game 82 that we make the playoffs, we got to make it. Because if we don't, this will be not great. I'd say it's still been a good season. It's just the fact that our division's been this strong, which is not ideal. Let's go 1 game at a time this week. Game against Minnesota, 3-0 win. We have 3 shutouts in our last 3 weeks of action. That's huge. And we have now popped back into the wild card spot as we're 1 point up on the Bruins, but we have played 1 more game than them. That 1 more game might be crucial. Richter is back. That's good news. So we will get him in for Dodge, and then he will go in as the 3rd line center. So Richter up, Colborne down, Colborne to the wing, and Sexsmith out for Dodge will do. Boom. Okay. Now we've popped back out of the playoffs again. The Leafs have played the same amount of games as us, and they're 2 points up. But you do have the Bruins who have played 1 more game than us now and 3 points up. So we got to win these games. This game against the Leafs coming up is massive. I can't understate that enough. Game against Calgary. 7-4 win. Let's go. Huge. We are now technically 2 points back of the Bruins with the same, or 1 point back of the Bruins with the same amount of games played, and 2 points back at the Leafs with the same amount of games played. So this would be a huge win if we could win in Toronto. Can we win this game and keep our playoff hopes alive? Yes, we can. Huge win there over the Leafs, which obviously helps us a lot with the standings. We're in the 1st wildcard spot now, just like Toronto is in the 2nd. And then we have Bruins outside of the playoffs by 1 point with the same amount of games played. This is a tight race because we could still technically jump up to 2nd place in our division too. Or we can miss the playoffs. We're not going to win our division for sure. But there is a chance that we could easily be a good team in this division or a non-playoff team, which is kind of ridiculous. Okay, game against Winnipeg and Seattle. We'll take it a little bit faster. Come on, boys. Please continue those wins as Coop has returned. That is good news because it gives us a bit more depth. And we'll take Dodge out. So Coop is back in. Come on, boys, please. Win there and a loss there. That loss to Seattle is not great. But we are on 100 points in 79 games. We played 1 more game now than the Leafs, and we're only 2 points up. That loss to Seattle is not a good one to have. We're down to our final 3 games. The Islanders, the Sharks, and the Avs. The Islanders are probably missing the playoffs. Or are they in a playoff spot? Because the Metro was weak. They are in a playoff spot, which is kind of surprising. The Sharks are a good playoff team, probably. And then, the Avs are going to be a very tough team to beat in that last game of the season. Okay, let's take it one game at a time. This is a massive game. Come on, guys. We need to win games. Let's do this. Let's make the playoffs. Game against the Islanders. 4-0 shutout. That's huge. We're getting a lot of shutouts down the stretch. Have we clinched a playoff spot? Yes, we did. Let's go. We clinched a playoff spot. And I don't know. Yeah, the Bruins haven't clinched that playoff spot yet. So that last wildcard spot is still up in the air. But we do clinch the playoff spot with that shutout win. I at least feel safe about that now. Let's go. Win there and a win there. Another shutout. So we won 51-27-4, but we are third place in our division. If we were even in the Central Division where the Avs are, we would have won the division probably, or get close to winning the division. We didn't have a lot of extra frame games this year. Like, most of our losses came in regulation, which is interesting. Let's advance one more day because we got to see, obviously, the rest of the AI finish their season. And there you go. So the Maple Leafs end up missing the playoffs, which is huge. Shout out to that. And wow, okay. Yeah, that's kind of nuts. The Maple Leafs, who missed the playoffs in the Atlantic Division, technically would have won the Metro. Yeah, that's insane. Okay, let's take a look at our player stats and team stats and see who we're going up against in round one. But we're a wild card team. Actually, no, we're not a wild card team. Yeah, we just went actually above the wild card spot, which is nice, but the wild card spot maybe give us a better chance of winning the Stanley Cup. I don't know. But we're the 5th best team in the NHL, and we're behind 2 teams in our division, only Tampa and Florida. But LA was the best team in the entire league. Goals for per game. Our offense wasn't super good this year, which is exactly what I expected. Like I said, without Mauricio, we wouldn't score as much, and our offense definitely wasn't super good this season. However, goals against per game wise, we were the best defensive team once again, which is great. We've been the best defensive team so many times in this franchise mode. So shout out to Burkov and Zadorov and our defensive core. Hopefully they hold up in the playoffs as well. Power play percentage wise, not super good. Once again, our offense has fallen off. And our penalty kill was one of the better ones in the league at 5th place. So yeah, we're a good defensive team. That's pretty much it. 8 short-handed goals, 29-10-2 on home ice, 22-17-2 on the road, 8-1-1 in our last 10 games. I don't like that we were that good going into the playoffs in a sense because I feel like we're going to be a first-round exit, but could be a surprise this year. Who knows? Could be a surprise. Let's take a look at these player stats. So starting off with Bernard Boucher, 67 points. And he actually had power play time this year. So the lack of not having Wilm definitely on full effect there. I don't know why he's listed as a potential low top 9 as an 86, but yeah, you can see the Wilm effect definitely dropped him off quite a bit. But I mean, 67 points is still really respectable for a guy that was a 7th round pick. So shout out to Boucher. Ahinen on 62 points is pretty good for maybe his last season in the NHL. He has dropped down to exact bottom 6. Richter on 33 points, solid. Coop on 26. Dodge had 4 and 6, which is not bad for a depth forward. I like that. Left wing wise, Ozzen's on 69 points. That's actually pretty nice. And yeah, that is his best season yet. So look at that. No power play goals for him, which is kind of a surprise, but 8 power play points. Lehman on 57 points. Obviously him dropping off as well as the lack of offense and stuff like that. If he was still in his prime, he could have definitely helped our offense out a lot, but his offense definitely on the decline because he's 38 years old now. Hamelainen on 56 points. Booze on 31. Right wing wise, Del Rivera on 72. Pretty good season for Reese. He's 33 now, which is kind of crazy. Did pretty much exactly what he did last year, but a better plus minus because he's now on the top line. Makes sense. Raymond on 71 points is pretty awesome. Didn't really expect him to do that, but he has been a very solid goal scorer. 2 30-goal seasons in the bag, and this was his best year yet. Jacobson on 34 points is pretty good. Colburn on 20 points. Sexsmith with 1 goal in 1 game. So shout out to Paul Sexsmith, who scored in his only NHL game he's played. So maybe we get Paul Sexsmith back in. It was a game-winning goal as well. Nicely done. Defensively, Cardwell on 29 points and a plus 25. His offense definitely dropped off a lot, but good defense at least. Boys on 24 points and potentially his last season. This is definitely his last season. He dropped down to a 77, and he's now listed as an exact AHL top 2. I think this is the last year we see Mad Boy or my boys, I should say. Burrish 22 points plus 32, Ramo 21 points, the other Booze 18 points plus 17, Kavanagh 10 points plus 21 in 100 penalty minutes, and a Cracknell 2 points in 6 games and a plus 5. So I don't mind our depth scoring, even though we were technically the best, our worst offensive team. The question is, how good was our goaltending if we were the best defensive team? Wow. Okay, Burkov barely played any games this year because of the fact that we have Zadorov. But Zadorov was pretty solid though, 34, 20, and 2 with 5 shutouts at 9-12 and a 2.69. But look at Mateo Burkov playing his potential last year here in Halifax. Does he get the start in the playoffs over Zadorov because of the experience factor? 18, 8, and 2 with 3 shutouts, a 932 save percentage, and a 2.13 goals against. And they had a combined 5 assists, which is awesome too. So, that's an interesting one. Who do we start in the playoffs? Because obviously Burkov has not been super consistent the last few years in the playoffs, which is not great. But then you also have Zadorov, who wasn't super great last year when he played in the playoffs for those 2 games. But he technically is the better overall goaltender. So that's going to be an interesting one to decide on. So I want your guys' feedback on that if possible. Let's take a look at who led the league in points this season. Was it a former player? No. Ola Lilia though, but look who was there. I knew he was going to be up there because Tampa was good. FPZ, number 2 in points this season. 15 goals only, but 103 assists. This guy's just a passing machine. I wish I still had him, but we unfortunately didn't bring him back. Ever since playing in Tampa, he's been a very good player. What a pure passer, man. Is he a pending free agent? No, he's not. Yeah, he's signed there for the rest of his career pretty much, which kind of sucks. And yeah, Ola Lilia was number 1 with 126. Who was the best goal scorer this season? Ville Koskinen with 65, Pritchett up there with 63, and Frazier with 60 as well. A couple other guys on 50 goals like Gamache. So there is all that. What about Selke candidates this season? Selke candidates. Let's see what we got here. Probably looking at, based on face-off percentage, it could be Stanley Keith. Bo Campoli up there as well. Yeah, it might be Bo Campoli again, because I think he won last year. Most fights for fun. 33 fights from Alvin Combs of the Jets. 31 from Jorgen Enquist of the Kings. Damn, there's a lot of goons this season. Guys that like to fight. All these guys were 20-plus fights this season. So there's that. Best defenseman this season. Let's take a look at that. It's going to be Afanaganov in Arizona with 80 points in 82 games. You also had Chance with 75 for Tampa Bay. Riley Gostow with 72. Yeah, the typical guys you'd see. And Chris Whitmore up there is a plus 45 as well. Chris Whitmore continuing to show he's a great player for the Florida Panthers. Best goaltender this season in terms of wins was Moses with 47 wins. Most shutouts by a starter was DuPont in Ottawa with 9. Best save percentage by a starter, other than Burkov because of his 29 games, was Hernandez with a 918 through 59 games. But you also had Dennis Sims. Dennis Sims was up there for the Florida Panthers with a 914 save percentage through 67 games. Dennis, our former goaltending prospect. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, Dennis Sims honestly could win the Vezina this season, which is not really what I expected, but he played a little bit with us. He was a waiver claim by the LA Kings, and now he's potentially a Vezina candidate for the Florida Panthers. I mean, Florida's a good defensive team, so maybe that makes sense why he's good, but still. Best rookie for points this season was Drummond in Vegas with 61 points. Rathje up there with 59, Avery with 51, and same with Dwight Cowan. So there is all of that. Now the question is, did our AHL team make the playoffs as well? And also, who are we going up against in round 1? The AHL team did win the division again. So shout out to the AHL team. Taro Haken had 72 points. Obviously, he could come up for the NHL playoffs, but AHL team once again had a good year, and they will be a playoff team once again, which is great. So that consistent success in the AHL is nice, but hopefully they could win a Calder Cup or something. Okay, so NHL-wise, we are going to be taking on FPZ again in the playoffs. and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, Weber's not there any longer because he signed with a different team in the offseason. He's now in Washington, I think, if I remember right. So there isn't as familiar faces in Tampa, but we know that Tampa is a great team. They went 50, 24, and 8. They get home ice advantage, which is interesting because the fact they had more or less regulation losses than us. But this is still probably a pretty even matchup, my guess. But let's take a look at how good Tampa did compared to us regular season-wise. You can see 2 points above us this season. They scored a lot more goals, obviously, because FBZ had over 100 points. They were worse defensively, so we're a better defensive team. They're better offensively. They're better power play-wise. And they were actually better penalty kill-wise, which is interesting. 10 shorthand goals as well. Okay, let's take a look at the roster. See who they got on this team, because who knows, maybe some other former players signed there that we don't know about. So what is the Tampa Bay Lightning looking like this season? So Charlie Goodbranson, Craig Fraser, and there's FPZ again on the right wing. Even though he is quick draw, he's on the wing, which is kind of dumb, but oh well. So yeah, that's a very good top line. Second line, Warren Moz, Marcus Kavasha, and Simon Brodeur. Kind of a weaker second line, especially down the middle, but still it's okay. Third line, Timo Tikkanen, Johan Eklund, and Joakim Laminen. And a fourth line of Boris Morozov, Jalen Girard, and Francis Froats. Boris Morozov is the former franchise guy, I thought so, that went to Arizona first overall way back 20 years ago at this point. He still put up 53 points this year. But this guy's been a very good player in this franchise mode. But in terms of their depth, I would say they have no depth on offense hardly at all. Like, a lot of those guys are like fourth line guys, third line guys at best. Their first line, though, is what we need to contain for sure. Defensively, they have Caden Shantz and Kai Jokinen. That's a very good top two. Second pairing, Logan Orpik and Michel Guite. And the top six are Radek Majewski and Griffin Dempsey. So that defensive core is better depth-wise than their offensive core, I would say. Especially that top two pairing. I can see why their power play would be good because they'd have like Yelkin and Shantz, Goodbranson, Fraser, and Zabotle on one. So, and then goaltending-wise, they have Nikita Tulipov, who I recognize from last time we played them. Yeah. This guy's another solid goaltender. High overall, 90s. And then you have Peltola, who's an 83. Peltola was also drafted by them. So they have, good goaltending, good defensive core, and a little bit of lack of offense in depth, but they do score a lot, even with that lack of depth, probably because of that top line now. And then they also have an injury to Abel Bolton, who is listed as a top 4 defenseman, but he looks like he's dropped off a lot, unless it's morale related. And then Jody Boganecki. Let me take a look at how long Bolton's out for. I don't think it's going to really make a huge impact because that defensive core is pretty strong as it is, but I do want to take a look at how long this guy is out for if he would make a return this series. I don't think he's even getting used as a NHL defenseman, though. It doesn't seem like, based on overall rating. So he might not even make an impact at all, but he is out till the 21st, so there is a chance he could return for the series because he's just out with a wrist sprain. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Halifax Raiders Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to round 1 against FPZ and the Tampa Bay Lightning as we look to have a long playoff run. Despite not having Willem, our team was actually pretty solid this season, but we just barely made it in. Now the question is, how long are we going to make it for? Send anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.